Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 30 minutes. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says discussing Ukraine security issues without Russia is a road to nowhere. Israel's defense minister approves plan for Gaza City's takeover. Also authorizes call-up of around 60,000 reservists. And India's lower house of parliament passes online gaming bill, aims to promote esports and safe social or educational games. Russia said on Wednesday that attempts to resolve security issues relating to Ukraine without the participation of Moscow was a road to nowhere. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov made the comments 2 days after US President Donald Trump hosted Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders for discussions about security guarantees for Ukraine that could help end the war.
I believe that the West, and especially the US, understands perfectly well that seriously discussing security issues with the Russian Federation is completely unrealistic and a road to nowhere.
Это утопия, это путь в...
A day after US President Donald Trump offered security assurances to help resolve the conflict during a rare White House summit, the path to peace remained unclear as the US and its allies began discussions on the nature of potential military support for Ukraine. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed that US air support was an option and a possibility.
U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine, but we can certainly help in the coordination and perhaps provide other means of security guarantees to our European allies. The President understands security guarantees are crucially important to ensure a lasting peace, and he has directed his national security team to coordinate with our friends in Europe and also to continue to cooperate and discuss these matters with Ukraine and Russia as well.
Trump had earlier said that he would not deploy US ground troops to Ukraine, but said the United States might provide air support as part of a deal to end the conflict. Trump also spoke with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban on Tuesday about the possibility of hosting a summit with Zelensky and Putin in Budapest. Now, Ukraine's Prime Minister has said on Wednesday that at least 14 people, including a family with 3 children, were wounded in an overnight Russian attack on Ukraine's northern region of Sumy. The strike took place at a time of intense efforts by US President Trump to bring an end to the conflict in Ukraine. Russia launched 15 drones in an assault on Okhtyrka area in the early hours of Wednesday, local prosecutors said on Telegram messaging app. Russia has repeatedly said it does not attack civilians or civilian infrastructure. Now, hopes are pinned on the latest US-backed ceasefire plan brokered by Egypt and Qatar as far as the West Asian conflict is concerned. Now, Hamas has accepted the proposal in principle, while Israel has reiterated its demand for the release of 50 hostages still held in Gaza. The plan includes a 60-day pause in fighting, partial Israeli troop withdrawal, and increased humanitarian aid. Meanwhile, mass protests continue in Tel Aviv, urging that a deal be struck. Now, the US continues to discuss a ceasefire proposal between Israel and the Hamas. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that the development came after Trump posted a very strong statement about this conflict on Truth Social.
I don't think it's a coincidence that Hamas accepted this proposal after the President of the United States posted a very strong statement about this conflict on Truth Social yesterday. I would refer you back to that statement. As for this proposal that Hamas has now accepted, the United States continues to discuss it, and I'll let the President weigh in on it definitively.
Israeli Defense Minister, meanwhile, has approved the military's plan to take over Gaza City and authorized the call-up of around 60,000 reservists. The IDF said that the action would significantly tighten Israel's grip on the area and limit the Hamas's ability to operate from there. The military official also added that most forces that would operate in the enclave's largest urban center would be active duty soldiers. The latest development comes as ground offense in Khan Yunis killed over 20 people in morning strikes. Indonesian Foreign Minister Sugiono has met his German counterpart Johann Wadephul in Jakarta on Wednesday. During the meeting, Foreign Minister Sugiono said that Indonesia and Germany are looking into strengthening trade and investment cooperation ahead of the Indonesia-EU CEPA agreement in 2026. In response, Wadephul reiterated Germany's commitment along with Japan in supporting Indonesia's implementation of the Just Energy Transition Program.
We both hope that the implementation of the Indonesia-EU CEPA, which is targeted for completion in 2026, will further expand opportunities for cooperation, particularly in the economic field between the two countries, increase trade and investment, and I also express Indonesia's willingness and openness to increase investments and invite Germany to increase investment together with Danantara.
Keterbukaan Indonesia untuk
The German Foreign Minister also spoke about tensions in the Taiwan Strait and dispute in South China Sea. Germany's Foreign Minister said that China's assertiveness in the disputed South China Sea and tensions in the Taiwan Strait threaten international security and European interests. The German minister said that what happens in the Indo-Pacific has a direct impact on European security and vice versa.
What happens here in the Indo-Pacific has a direct impact on European security and vice versa. China's growing military assertiveness in the South China Sea not only threatens Asia's security, but also undermines the international rules-based order.
Now, Indonesia's central bank unexpectedly announced a cut in its key interest rate on Wednesday in a bid to boost economic growth just days after President Prabowo Subianto touted an expectation-defying economy. Bank Indonesia lowered the benchmark 7-day reverse repurchase rate by 25 basis points to 5%, citing a need to bolster stability and growth. It was the fifth cut since September, and it comes after Indonesia recorded positive second-quarter economic results of more than 5% growth after Prabowo's government set an ambitious goal of 8% when he took office last year. Bank Indonesia had projected at the start of the year that economic growth would be slower in 2025 compared to last year. UK annual inflation climbed to 3.8% in July, up from 3.4% in June, according to the Office of National Statistics. The rise, as reported on Wednesday, exceeds the Bank of England's 2% target, intensifying pressure on policymakers to maintain elevated interest rates. Higher energy and food prices are key drivers, with services inflation also ticking upwards. Despite the increase, core inflation, excluding volatile items, held steady at 4.9%. Economists warn that persistent price pressures could delay anticipated rate cuts. The data has sparked concerns among households already grappling with rising living costs, while businesses face challenges in managing higher input prices. The Bank of England will closely monitor upcoming data. Let's now take a look at some other news making around the world. Now, Brazil's Rio de Janeiro's Getulio Vargas Hospital on Tuesday witnessed a moment of delight as pediatricians swapped their white coats for Disney princess costumes, hoping to create a comfortable and joyous environment for their young patients. The initiative aims to humanize healthcare and promote overall well-being. Taipei hosted the Taiwan Automation, Intelligence and Robot Show 2025, which opened on Wednesday to a steady crowd. The exhibition showcased Taiwan's first fully made humanoid robot. The 4-day trade show is running until Saturday, and it features exhibitors from around the world. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Rapper Kneecap supporters turn out for UK terror charge court hearing. French firefighters join efforts to battle Spanish wildfires. And the world's biggest game trade fair opens in Cologne, Germany.
geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, intermediate-range ballistic missile Agni 5 was successfully test-fired from the integrated test range Chandipur in Odisha on Wednesday. The launch validated all operational and technical parameters. It was carried out under the aegis of the Strategic Forces Command. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is on a Russia visit, interacted with prominent scholars and think tanks in Moscow. Now, the discussions were about India-Russia relations, contemporary world geopolitics and India's viewpoint. And earlier in the day, the External Affairs Minister paid tributes at Moscow's Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. He is expected to co-chair the 26th session of the India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific and Technological as well as Cultural Cooperation, that's IRIGC-TEC. The EM will also address the India-Russia Business Forum meeting in Moscow. He will also be meeting Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and will review the bilateral agenda and share perspectives on regional and global issues. The visit aims to further strengthen the long-standing and time-tested India-Russia special and privileged strategic partnership. Dr. Jaishankar will be in Russia till the 21st of August, which is Thursday. Now, India's External Affairs Minister, who is currently in Moscow, as I mentioned, on a 3-day official visit, aimed at deepening strategic ties between India and Russia. Joining us now from Moscow is Farida from RT. Now, good evening to you, Farida. What are the key highlights so far of the External Affairs Minister's trip, and what can we expect from Minister Jaishankar's talks with Russian Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturov?
India's Foreign Minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar has arrived in Moscow for a 3-day visit in order to strengthen ties between India and Russia. Now, this visit comes just as global tensions are rising, specifically those between the US and India. Now, the main event of the visit is the 26th annual India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission that will be held today, and Jaishankar will co-chair it with Russia's first Deputy Prime Minister, Denis Manturov. It's said that their talks will cover a range of subjects, including technology, fertilizer, trade, and cultural collaboration. Now, India-Russia trade hit a record of 68.7 billion USD last year. That's nearly 6 times pre-2022 levels, and it's mainly due to India's import of energy from Russia. Both countries have agreed to diversify trade and reach levels of 100 billion USD by 2030. Now, on Thursday, Subrahmanyam Jaishankar will meet with his Russian counterpart, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, and it's said that a dialogue between them will cover a broad strategic agenda, including ongoing global conflicts, regional security and stability, and coordination in multilateral forums such as BRICS and SCO. Now, Jaishankar's visit comes just as recently the US placed an additional 25% tariff on India due to India's ongoing oil trade with Russia. However, India has emphasized that buying oil from Russia is a national interest in order to support its 1.4 billion population, and has denied any reports of it stopping its purchases of oil from Russia. Now, this trip is seen as a signal of India maintaining its independent foreign policy and keeping its options open. Now, India-Russia ties appear to be strengthening, as we're seeing numerous high-level talks between officials. Just 2 weeks ago, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval visited Sergei Shoigu here in Moscow. We've seen numerous talks between Narendra Modi and Vladimir Putin, as well as Putin's confirmed trip to India towards the end of the year. Now, this suggests that partnership between India and Russia is really strengthening, and we're seeing cooperation not only for balancing strategic dialogue, but also on global issues such as the Ukraine conflict.
Well, thank you for joining us from Moscow, Fatma. Now, the Russian embassy in India has held a press briefing as well to discuss the current dynamics of Russia-India relations, marking significant anniversaries, including the 25th anniversary of their strategic partnership and the 78th anniversary of diplomatic relations. The discussions highlighted the increasing cooperation within BRICS, particularly in the financial sphere, driven by the need for safe transactions and mutual benefit. It emphasized BRICS' role as a stabilizing force in a turbulent global environment, with trade among its members growing significantly.
The trade within BRICS is growing against the backdrop of the current turbulence. For example, Russia's trade with BRICS partners has increased by 70.5% in the previous year. And the point is that the more challenging and unpredictable the global environment becomes, the more relevant BRICS becomes as a stabilizing force and a center of gravity for those who are seeking a mutually beneficial cooperation, grounded in respect for sovereignty and diversity.
The discussions also touched upon stable and growing trade relations between India and Russia, highlighting that Russia is India's fourth largest trading partner. Despite external pressures and sanctions, trade is expected to continue growing at an annual rate of about 10%. The discussions also touched upon the importance of maintaining oil imports from Russia, which constitute a crucial 40% share for the Indian economy, and the potential use of national currencies and settlements amid declining trust in global currencies like the US dollar and the euro.
It's the main item of our export, but nevertheless we see the tendency when number and range of goods, commodities is increasing. And besides that, we see that, and I wanted to highlight that despite political situation, we can predict that the same level of oil import, crude oil import, will be approximately the same.
The lower house of the Indian Parliament has passed the Promotion and Regulation of Online Gaming Bill 2025. The bill aims to promote and regulate the online gaming sector, including esports, educational gaming and social gaming. It also protects individuals, especially youth and vulnerable populations, from the adverse social and economic as well as psychological and privacy-related impacts of such games. The bill also aims to regulate online money games through any computer device, mobile or through the internet. The Lok Sabha was adjourned after the bill was passed. And Home Minister Amit Shah introduced 3 key bills in the lower house or the Lok Sabha of the Indian Parliament on Wednesday. Among them, the Constitution 138th Amendment Bill 2025 aims to decriminalize Indian politics. The other 2 bills are the Government of Union Territories Bill and the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Amendment Bill. The bills were introduced amidst the opposition's protest over the special intensive revision exercise of the voter rolls in Bihar. Later, the 3 bills were referred to the Joint Committee of Parliament by the Lok Sabha through voice vote. Now, the combined index of India's 8 core industries increased by 2% in July this year compared to the same month of the previous year, according to data released by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry on Wednesday. According to the official statement, the production of steel, cement, fertilizer and electricity recorded positive growth in July 2025. The 8 core industries comprise 40.27% of the weight of items included in the Index of Industrial Production and are an indicator of the overall industrial growth. Member of the Irish rap group Kneecap appeared in UK court on terrorism charge for allegedly displaying a flag in support of Iran-backed Lebanese militia Hezbollah. Kneecap has previously said the flag was thrown on stage during their performance. Liam Hanna was charged on the 22nd of May this year, one day after the 6-month limit for such charges. French firefighters joined efforts with Spanish firepersons to control the wildfires in Jerez as the smoke emerged from the mountains. The team has carried large hose to refresh the unburned area next to the black scorched earth. This place has affected the UNESCO-listed Las Medulas National Park. The situation of the rest of the wildfires raging in northern and western Spain has also improved. The Spanish army has deployed 3,400 troops and 50 aircraft to help firefighters, while Czech Republic, Finland, France, Germany, Netherlands and Slovakia have sent hundreds of firefighters, vehicles and aircraft to control this blaze. The impact of technology on warfare, that is the theme of Run Samvad, the tri-service seminar of the armed forces to be held later this month at the Army War College at Mao. Only the practitioners of war, that is the uniformed armed forces personnel, will be the speakers, though think tanks, academia, veterans and even civilians will be attending and giving their views and feedback. The Run Samvad will be an annual fixture from this year onwards.
This one will focus purely on war, warfare and war fighting. We will attempt to arrive from the seminar with practical takeaways and doables, so that we see whatever technologies are impacting our day-to-day war fighting capability and the way we do business. How do we incorporate that into our training, into our tactics, techniques, procedures, into our organizational structures, so that whatever technological influx is happening into the Indian Armed Forces, how do we best use it to our advantage?
We, in the ancient times, were a Vishwaguru. We want India to lead the debate on this strategic dialogue of future wars. We want to reclaim that spot of Vishwaguru, and that is the intent behind behind the commencement of this dialogue called Run Samvad. An exchange of concepts, best practices, innovative approach, and a platform for serving officers to present their views at fighting future battles is what we are wanting to achieve.
Now, the world's biggest game trade fair has opened in Cologne, Germany, showcasing innovations and global gaming trends worldwide. The world's biggest trade fair for video games, the Gamescom, has opened in the western German town of Cologne. A record-breaking 1,500 exhibitors from 72 countries are showcasing the latest in video games. India and the Eurasian Economic Union, that's the EAEU, comprising Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic and the Russian Federation, have signed the terms of reference to launch negotiations on a free trade agreement today in Moscow. The terms of reference were signed by Additional Secretary, Department of Commerce, Government of India, Ajay Bhadu, and Deputy Director, Trade Policy Department, Eurasian Economic Commission, that's the EEC, Mikhail Cherikev. During his visit, Additional Secretary, Department of Commerce, Government of India, Ajay Bhadu, also called on the Minister in charge of Trade, Eurasian Economic Commission, Andrei Slepnev. Both the sides noted the growing trade turnover between India and the EAEU, which stood at $69 billion in 2024, registering a 7% increase over 2023. With a combined GDP of $6.5 trillion, the proposed FTA is expected to expand market access for Indian exporters, support diversification into new sectors and geographies, enhance competitiveness against non-market economies, and deliver significant benefits to micro, small and medium enterprises. And that's all we have for the moment in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code on the screen and download the app now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.